DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, I hope you're well. It is Sunday afternoon, and the weather's changing. We're supposed to expect rain. Well, these weather apps have been telling us 100% towards the end of the afternoon, so 100% is a good chance that it'll happen. I don't know if how often you use these weather apps, but it's kind of amusing. Like when all of a sudden you see that there is um, 10% or 30% chance that you will have between we use metric system here, as most of the world does actually, and they're saying like maybe 2 to 4 millimeters or things like that, or 0 to 1 with 30%, and you're thinking like, well, does that make any sense whatsoever? 30% of zero. Anyway, but when it says 100%, yeah, there's a good chance that it'll happen. So, yeah, the weather has been changing. So, weather apps, they're kind of weird in a way, because also the ones that we have, they're taking the weather or the temperatures at specific places. I don't know actually where for our part of the town, but it's pretty accurate actually. But when I was in Spain, they were like taking the weather from a place that was quite a ways away from the beach where we were. So the weather always seemed to show a different temperature, and so I had to kind of fine tune it to get to the right place. Anyway, enough about weather apps, but it is something that is amusing how we are being connected in everything. We were talking with people the other day, actually again about weather apps, and it was like, is it raining? And the person looked on their app, and I said, well, I'm looking outside. Actually, it's not raining yet, but it's people are getting that way slowly, where we are trusting our digital media instead of trusting our own senses. Yeah. In that aspect, it was 2-3 weeks ago, when it was the birthday of my daughter-in-law. I had made a little movie. Was it with Grok? I think it was actually, where she's flying, and it was very, very convincing. Put it that way. And I made it like with 2 different pictures, and it was, well, frankly, surprisingly convincing. It was very short, though. It was, goodness, I don't know. It was at the most, I think it was less than 10 seconds now, if I recall correctly. It was really, really short, but the bit that was there was convincing. And that just brings it up. I mean, how do you know I'm talking to you? How do you know it's not a cheap fake, as the word had been used at one time for different political videos? You never know. You never know. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, today is Sunday. So this morning we had a really, really good church service. We have a lady pastor that's there quite well. I mean, not every weekend, of course, but every now and then. She's a teacher actually at the theological university. Well, basically in a faculty of theology at a university, and she comes over every probably once a month, I'd say. And it was very, very interesting. It was basically on unity, diversity, and this type of things, but not diversity in the politically correct way of talking. I mean, it was basically as we are all diverse, this type of thing, and not pushing, a diversity agenda. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it was very interesting because it was going on about, unity and being different. I think actually that would be the way we did probably used to say it. Yeah, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, I know her quite well, and I can imagine she's a good teacher as well. Because something, you've probably all had that if you've been to. Well, I was going to say if you've been to school, and all of you have. Some teachers, well, put it this way, to put it mildly, some teachers suck. they're just they might know their what they're teaching. They might know about it, but they don't. Some of them are just simply lousy when it comes to talking about their subjects, and others are brilliant. And just the whole thing about it's the same with people at church. I mean, some are natural expositors and are able to discuss on just about everything without it being a problem. And others, I mean, just know all the theory, but it's just like it's like sitting through a session and watching paint dry. But that's the same. Like I say, it can be in school, anything that has people talking. Like I say, some are really good, some are not. I don't know. It's the same with vlogging, isn't it? I mean, we've got our days, don't we? We have our days when we're able to just be so eloquent, and others when we're actually probably quite boring. Why? I don't know. I mean, in a sense, being a vlogger means taking your daily conundrum, usually, and telling it to others. But there's ways of doing that, I suppose. Well, this morning I got up, went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, made a coffee. I guess I sat down. You know what I mean. There can be that, and then there can be the others, who are just basically, talking about so many other things. And, I don't know, just kind of like making it interesting. It was yesterday when I was chatting with Friday. I was chatting with my Spanish professor, the one who lives in Mexico City, and we were talking about not different international expos, and I was saying, well, when I was a kid in the 60s, he wasn't born yet, when I was a kid in the 60s, 67 actually, there was Expo 67 in Montreal. And we had, I've mentioned this before, I don't remember which pavilion it was, probably the science and technology one, where there were telephones with screens on, and you would go into another room as, let's say, in our case, it was our parents were probably with us, and some of us were in the other room, and we would see the other and talk. And it just seemed so incredible, didn't it? To believe that one day, maybe, you'd be able to do that. Hello, FaceTime, Viber, Skype doesn't exist anymore, but Skype at the time, Facebook Messenger, and so on and so on. That's what they all do, the WhatsApps of the world. And in those days, it was just like incredible. So what am I up to? I'm up to 8 minutes. So yeah, anyway, that's just it. I guess I'll stop there. I'll stop before those 10 minutes. I always try to stop around there. I guess that comes from the old days of vlogging, when at one point there was a 10-minute limit, and if you went over it, you'd have to have part 1 and part 2 of your vlogs. Anyway, so we'll just stop there. I'll be DC signing off. Hope you've had, up to now, a good Sunday, and take care. Bye-bye. Where is it? There it is.